Ladies and gentlemen, we have just reached our cruising altitude. We short somewhere? It's be seen to be
Secure the cabin.
Give me a hand, she's rolling.
A commercial aircraft crosses a storm. Suddenly many warplanes fly around it with a whir, and fire bullets at them. And it turns out that the commercial aircraft with flight code IA-42 has weathered the storm of time, and is now in the airspace of World War II. Various attempts were made to get out of the war environment. Fortunately there was a young soldier named Nigel, the communications regulator at that time, who believed and was willing to help flight IA-42. Assisted by this soldier, Flight IA-42 tried to escape the attack of Nazi warplanes and the Nazi fighter jets, trying to bring down Flight IA-42 by shooting all over the fuselage. This film, entitled Flight World War II, stars Faran Tahir, Maishas Ponce, Aqueela Zoll, Ratner Agana Joe, and Robbie K. From the IMDb assessment got 4.5 points out of 10. A commercial aircraft year 2015 with flight code IA-42 International Airlines. Steered by a pilot named William Strong, and a co-pilot named Daniel Prentice. Flying across the sky as usual activities they always do every day. And this time, their route is to fly from the country, the United States to England, which is estimated to take up to 7 hours of travel. While on the way, pilot William Strong introduced himself to the passengers. And we will fly from Washington, D.C. to London, England. And please enjoy your trip. The plane continues to penetrate the bright clouds. After several hours of traveling, feeling something odd, pilot William then contacted the IA-42 Inland Watchtower, asking for an explanation of the stormy weather in front of our flight. But the watchdog on radar said, "The weather is not bad now. AKA fine." Hearing this explanation, different from the situation in front of his eyes, William finally got closer to the barn of bad weather, to break through the storm. As it broke through its barn of black clouds, the plane also rocked and caused a shake which was felt by the passengers inside. Sway and get sucked into the granary of black clouds. After that incident, suddenly appeared all dark, like at night. The pilot also said that we should have 1 hour left before it happened at night. Co-pilot Daniel Prentice wondered at this situation why becomes night. Daniel also checked the aircraft engine and not one of them was damaged. Only communication signals are lost and cut off. Pilot William, speaking to passengers through speakers, apologizes for the inconvenience and shaking earlier, and asks to return calm down.
Connection down?
Gander Center, this is London bound.
When all digital mapping and communication systems disconnect, pilot William decided to use the manual map to land in the city of London, England later. The pilot was also still trying to contact the central for help, but no one received and listened to the pilot's words on his communications radio. In the passenger area there are two historian professors from Aqueela University. They again tell the history of Hitler and Argentina. After several hours of flying, the pilot decided to immediately descend from the height because it was thought that Britain was near. After descending from a height, there was a small plane stalking behind them, but it had never been seen before, said co-pilot Daniel. When it reached a low altitude, all passengers, pilots and co-pilots were terrified and confused, seeing a lot of fighter planes dropping bombs, as if there was intense warfare in that location. The passengers and William were confused. Why was this happening? Then a fighter jet overtook this commercial aircraft. It was seen by the co-pilot that it was a Nazi war fighter.
It's coming in hot in 09.
Kill the malflights. Shit! Hang on!
Finally, the
What's that
pilot
made of?
raised the plane again. After the incident, the historian rose from his seat, offered to help a flight attendant named Cameron. But Cameron said, "I do not have time now, and please you sit back," instead of sitting in his seat. Instead, the two historians followed Cameron into the cockpit to volunteer and want to help with what happened, and the pilot agreed to help him. Historians say there was not much radio during the West German War in 1940. Historians say, "We just flew over the airborne bombing in June 1940. The bombing took place on the west coast of France, by Allied Nazi soldiers." A few moments later, the radar system of commercial aircraft flight IA-42 shows that there are warplanes coming so fast. The pilot William Strong also quickly avoided the attack by sticking his speed and dodging the bullets, so that the passengers returned to panic and fear.
Nigel, we've got something coming straight for us.
Flaten, no sightings of any aircraft on our end.
Inside the passenger room, situations many are experiencing trauma. One of the passengers was very panic about this situation, so that a fight arose which also involved the two soldiers, who beat up the panicked passenger, and warned that the passenger should remain calm and stay in his seat, so that the other passengers would not feel panic.
You're not thinking this through. Suppose we try it. You can also screw it up.
Return to the cockpit, where the pilot captain insists on trying to calm this down, and looking for ideas how to land this plane when the fuel is running out. The two passengers are historians who inform the pilots that this aircraft is stuck into the dimension of time, resulting in a trip to the era of World War II, where now is the time of the deadliest battles between Europe and German Nazi. To this history professor also told the pilots that we can contact the British Armed Forces by using radio, because Britain in the old days only had radio, do not have radar like Germany, which is much more technologically advanced. The pilot William II turned on the radio, which was captured by the British Army. The one named Nigel. Nigel is a soldier in the British Army, who is assigned to monitor the communication lines of British soldiers who are on the battlefield. After a long talk with Nigel, the pilots finally realized that they had indeed been carried to the time dimension on June 17, 1940. After communicating for so long, it turned out that the Nazi military, tracing their conversation. So, Nazi sent his fighter to fire on this commercial aircraft repeatedly, using a 30-diameter aircraft gun. So that Daniel was hit by a sharp shot in the stomach, and the plane suffered damage to the hydraulic. The front tire of the plane jammed and could not function properly. So the pilot William asked two passengers to repair the damage. Many times this commercial aircraft was shot and assaulted but still survived, so that black cloud hole appears again, and bringing this plane back to the modern century of 2015, and is on the ceiling of the German country, which has been at peace without the Nazi army again.
It appears to be stationary. See, it's dead ahead.
It's that vortex. Ladies and gentlemen, things are gonna get bumpy again. I want to thank... We can't thank you enough for everything you've done.
That's what allies do, Captain.
Center, we are flying on vapors. We gotta land now.
IA-42, this is TXL Tower. We are clearing the...
Drop the flaps. We're steady.
Noteinsatzfahrzeuge verlassen Bahn 8 links. Stützpunkte D und E zum Stillstand gekommen. Alle Notabteilungen antreten.
This is Flight 42. We have TXL.
They finally made an emergency landing in Germany with safety. The pilot said, "I love you, Germany." The co-pilot said, "I prefer Germany this time than in ancient times," which was very scary in the Nazi era. After a tense journey, the pilot William approached a passenger, who again saw his diary. It turned out that the old man was Nigel, seen from the cover of his book, who had helped him communicate in time travel. Finally, the end, which is very stressful.
Dreadfully sorry to have kept you waiting, but... Shall we go?